Right, so welcome back to NZ Mopo Outlaw Kustoms. So, my name's Glenn. Anyway, little tech tip video for you today, or how-to tip. Now, we've all had bolts, fastenings, hardware, some piece of bracketry, or whatever, or fitting, or something on an old vehicle, truck, tractor, whatever you're working on, some old bit of machinery, whatever, that you're trying to get apart. You really want to save the piece. You don't want to be breaking it or whatever. You know, at the moment, I'm restoring a World War II GMC DUKW amphibious truck duck thing they call. So I've got some unique fittings here that were basically, they were these here. Flip the camera around. These here, there was plywood behind this thing. This is actually off the part of the toe board for where the pedals and stuff were in this old thing. And it's got these like funny nut things that are on these screws. And that was in the back of it, and they were, had little nails in there to hold these into the back of the plywood, marine ply. Some of them are rotted away, but I want to try and save as many of these as I can. Some of them all got off, but there's three here that are in reasonable nick, but the likelihood of me getting to hold these with a pair of pliers and then getting them to unscrew is very, very, very slim. Right? Now, we all know you can sit there and pickle them with whatever penetrating oil you want for ages and ages and ages, and you could heat them up with, you know, the blowtorch or whatever, and then pickle them and try and get them off, you know, and then try and break them free while they're still hot. I got a tip for you, and I learnt this the other day from the guy that I'm restoring this vehicle for. He's too busy to restore them. He does what he can with some of the old vehicles. He's got a military museum here, but he was talking about something that he was undoing some bolts and some levers to get like knobs off and whatever. So he cleaned everything all up and paint it and whatever. And he goes, I just heat them up as hot as I can get them, or red hot if you can get it. Like, not very easy to get something red hot with that little blowtorch, but you get it hot as possible. Or an oxyacetylene plant or whatever you got to get them as hot as you possibly can, right? Or red hot. And then drown it in cold water. And it, yeah, like you sort of think, oh, yeah, normally you'd heat it up and get it red hot, and you'd sit there, and as it was cooling, you keep pickling it and pickling it and pickling it, and then hopefully get it free, right? But the cold water fucking works. Don't have to pickle anything, don't have to do anything, just get it hot and frickin' cool it right off as fast as you possibly can. So let's do that. I've just done it on a couple. I've just been rebuilding these, been remaking these. They're all rotten. You know, I've been getting nuts and bolts and screws and stuff out of it, plus remaking the new ones. So I've just got this one here that I've got to drill a whole heap of holes into. And I've got the other one of this here, a new one of those to make. So I'm just trying to get some of this hardware out of it, because I want to save it what I can, if you know what I mean. And then at some point we'll have to try and find something or make something or whatever to replicate these or whatever we can. But we want to try to use as much of the original hardware in this old thing as we can, because it's in a museum. So get your little blowtorch, whatever. Finger up hot. This does have a starter thing there, but it doesn't always work now. You get this thing as hot as you possibly can. I could roll the oxyacetylene over here, but I'm not worried about it. This gets it hot enough to do it. Just get it hot, 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 hot. Take a couple of minutes, whatever. But obviously with the gas you can get it really hot. So even big stuff. Like he was undoing all sorts of things the other day. It was like, shit, you know. I've stood there and heated it up 2 or 3 times and pickled it and whatever to get it to break loose. And he was just getting it as hot as he possibly could and dunk it in cold water. And it was done. I just had a spray bottle of water, of ice cold water here, because it's freezing outside here at the moment. I've just turned the heater off to do this video. It's not too bad, the air chills off the air in here now, but we'll just get this as smoking hot as possible. And in theory, this should just undo. Especially if it's something you really, really want to save, and you know, you don't want to break it if you can get away with it. It's probably not so bad with the screw side of it, but it's this, you know, like I don't want to smash it up and ball it up and whatever. We can get it off and save it, we will, you know, if we can reuse it in our sold thing. Because the likelihood of me finding these things again is possibly zero, if you know what I mean. Like there's 3 of these things in the country that I know of, you know, and 2 of them have been all modified, so like the likelihood of them having all this original hardware in it is 0. So this one's going in a museum. It's being restored as close as we can to original. So we got that pretty hot now. So we will just, I could spray it, but I'm just going to do this. Dead cold. In theory, it's worked almost every time for me. Not every time, but almost every time. And it just fucking unscrews. It doesn't always work. There's been the odd one I've had to heat twice, but that is undone. Now, if I clamp this one, hold it. Oh. That ain't coming undone. And all I'm going to do is gall out the screw. I'll do it again to prove a point. I've always sat it and pickled it and whatever and turned it backwards and forwards and tried to get it to break free. Like, I don't know whether you can probably do this in a head or in a block or whatever, you know, get it really as hot as possible and then dunk it as cold as possible and it would wind out. I haven't tried anything like that, but I think it would work, you know, if you could get around that stud or whatever in the block hot as possibly could and then just drown it with cold water until it's as cold as possible. And I think that would screw out. It fucking just seems to work. You know, pickling may bring a lot of these sort of things, you know, free them up and whatever. But if you happen to be pulling something apart and you just really don't want to risk it, this works. Man, does it work. You've got to get it as hot as possible. Within reason, huh? You want to really start seeing that red in it, or even hotter. Obviously you don't want to melt anything, but the hotter the better. You don't have to piss around trying to work it backwards and forwards or whatever. Just fucking wind out. should be hot enough. Well, that should be cold. It just winds out. It just fucking works. You know, like I've had the odd thing where I've just probably haven't had it hot enough and cooled it, but it works, man. It fucking works. I know this is only a little fitting, but you know, it just doesn't matter. Whether it's big or small or whatever, yeah, get it as hot as possible and get it in something that you can cool it down with, or just pour as much water on it as possible with a big hose. Or if it's something really huge, you know, that you can't lift up, yeah, just freaking get a hose on it and just drown it until it's basically dead cold. Unbolt it. It really fucking works. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I definitely did the other day. I've always just, you know, got it hot, sprayed it with penetrating oil or whatever, and worked it backwards and forwards and got things free. It's probably not always everything that you can do that in, like, you know, with stuff that will maybe melt at a lower temperature, but yeah, just try and get it as hot as possible, drain it in cold water, and it should unbolt or unscrew or whatever. Yeah, just seems to work. It's a freaking one of the best tips I've come across for doing that. Well, don't have to soak it, don't have to do anything. So yeah, just works. And works good. Righty, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, all those sorts of things. Yeah, and we'll see you in the next video. Back on the old working on the deck.